Are you ready to jam?
Oh, yeah.
At Genzabar Jam, Genzabar's annual meeting for users in Orlando, Florida, 2023 at the Gaylord Palms Resort. We're going to learn, share, and connect. You can register today at jam.genzabar.com. Ready to revolutionize your higher ed marketing game?
Yes.
Well, then don't miss out on Element 451's Engage Summit, June 27 and 28. Explore the cutting-edge world of education and AI technology and unleash your creativity like never before. Register today at engage.element451.com and use promo code EdUp50 for $50 off. Welcome back, everybody. It's your time to EdUp on the EdUp Experience podcast, where we make education your business. Dr. Joe Lucio back here on another episode. I had to actually go and look and see how many of these we've done. It was 612 when I last checked. In 3.5 years, 278,000 downloads of this podcast. You continue to honor us, and we thank you for listening, hoping you get some value out of hearing from some of the most amazing presidents, leaders, CEOs across, in and around higher education. We're going to keep bringing them to the microphone. What's going on this week? It's really interesting, and I think this is going to lead into our conversation today with our guests. But as you hear this episode, it'll be a couple weeks from now. But what's going on in the news? National Student Clearinghouse releases a report, says 40 million Americans now, 40 million Americans, some college, no credential, as they're calling it. Now, it used to be some college, no degree. Now it's some college, no credential. That's maybe a little confusing, but we can talk about what that means. And also, we're seeing that I think Nukubo came out and said that the discount rate is now going up to a record high of 56%, if you could believe it. Fire sailing higher education here, apparently. So lots going on in higher ed, things that we know are pretty common. But what are we doing to solve these problems? And I surely don't know the answer, but I brought a couple of people with me that might know. My guest co-host, it's her third time. I sent her the mug. Now, I was hoping she would get it for this episode. It's probably going to come tomorrow while she's out of town, which, of course, defeats the whole plan that I had. But it was sent. Here she is, ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Laura Ibsen, CEO at Ellucian. Laura, welcome back.
Great to be here. I can't wait. I'm going to jump on a flight soon. I can't wait to get home and find that awesome mug for our next podcast.
I'm sure it is just so high on your list of things to do is to get back to the mug. Thank you for saying so, Laura.
I'm sending you a water bottle, by the way.
I have 2 of your water bottles, in fact, from conferences for New Life.
I'm going to find a new one then.
Yeah. Send me a T-shirt. That's what I want. But let's bring in our guest right now, because before we started recording, you and she had just like this chemistry, and I was like, am I going to even be a part of this episode? Maybe not. But we're going to see how it goes. Here she is. She is Dr. Margaret McMenamin, and she is the president at Union College of New Jersey. What's going on, Margaret? How are you?
I'm doing great this morning, Joe. Good to talk to you and to see you and Laura again. I'm waiting for my mug. What about my water bottle? What am I, chopped liver?
Yeah,
okay, I'm sending you a water bottle too.
Everybody gets something here on the EdUp Experience.
Excellent.
We want to talk about Union College. So level set for us. We always like to just have you have the guests lean in. Where is Union College? What do you do? How do you do it?
Okay, we are Union College of Union County, New Jersey, not to be confused with the Union College in Schenectady, New York, or the Union College in Nebraska, or the Union College in Kentucky. We are the proud flagship of New Jersey's 2-year colleges. The first, the oldest, founded in 1933. We're about 25 miles west of New York City, just south of Newark. Our county seat is the great city of Elizabeth, which is the port of entry for many of our immigrants who are coming to New Jersey and into the United States. Part of Newark Airport is in Union County, New Jersey. So that's about where we are. We have about 10,000 students, and we're a comprehensive community college, and we like to think we're doing things well, but every day we try to do better. We try to get better and do a better job helping what I call our precious students be successful in their lives.
I love that. And I love the call out to being the first community college in the state of New Jersey. That comes with does that come with a I don't know, responsibility and extra responsibility to innovate faster than others, a responsibility to carry the torch, so to speak, to lead because you were the first in the investment that was made?
I'd say so, but it's also a call to not be complacent. Sometimes folks get older or people say I'm the first and that's all I need to do. But at Union, we have been trying to reinvent ourselves on a regular basis because the world around us is changing. We're not the same community college that opened in 1933 during the Depression. Our students are different, our community is different, and frankly, higher education is different.
Yeah, that's an understatement, isn't it? And it's interesting that there's so much going on right now with higher ed, and so much of it is confusing to me in particular. But I know you can clear this up for me. We're talking about, as I mentioned at the beginning, of 40 million Americans, some college with no credential. We have a lot of students who are coming into college and leaving without any attainment of any kind. And community colleges are always good at providing multiple pathways for attainment. What does this look like for your students? Where's the demand? Is it the skills based? Is it the degrees? Is it stacking? Is it micro credentials? I mean, I always find there's so many terms sometimes to describe the same things. Like, what's the difference between a certificate and a credential, or non-credit and for credit? It can be very confusing to students, but where's the demand right now that you see?
Well, our students are classic students from an urban community college. They are interested in the pathway to the middle class. So our students, over 50% of them are first generation college students. So they're not looking for a micro credential. They're looking for the American dream, a college degree, but they want that college degree that will offer them a better life, that will offer them economic mobility. So our challenge at the college is to help target them or channel them, funnel them into high value degree programs, as opposed to just getting a degree in liberal studies and thinking that's going to change their lives. The demand at Union is reflective of our economy locally and regionally. High demand for healthcare professionals, for nurses, for paramedics, EMTs, but also for police officers, for accountants. So it's very targeted here at Union into degree programs that lead to jobs, degree programs that will allow them to really change the life, not only of that student, but their immediate family, and hopefully, what we hope, inspire other people in their community, on their block, to go to college and maybe have a better life.
Wonderful.
As I said before I started this episode, Laura and Margaret had just a great chemistry. So I'm just going to pass the mic to Laura. Get out of the way.
Don't worry about me.
Well, listen, I think there's something so magical about Union College and what you do, connecting and empowering students to find those opportunities. I am sure that you have some secret sauce in how you connect the students to jobs. And I'm curious, what are some of the strategies you've had? I'm part of a group called Business Higher Education Forum that connects higher education with industry, with business, and trying to figure out how do we make sure that we map the opportunities for students, the skill sets, the changing of skill sets, now that we have things like AI, to the job, so that we're the curricula, everything that happens, whether it's a community college or an institution, is valuable for those pathways, for their careers. You've got some best practices. What can you share with us?
Well, the first thing, and let's start at the beginning. I always want to start at the foundation. First, we've got to convince these students, many of whom are coming from families where college was never an option. We have to convince them college is an option for you, that you do belong in college, that you're not, I mean, they may feel like an outsider, but that's our first challenge, getting them in the door, getting them to apply, getting them to show up. Then it's getting the students to stay. Students, I mean, I came from a family, my mother went to college. So when I hit my first obstacle as an undergraduate, I knew I had somebody to talk to. We've got to get them to stay in school, to persist to graduation. So the end game certainly is economic mobility, is getting them into into a great career program, or into a great career period. But it's the work that we have to do along the way that is critical. First, getting them to apply and getting them to believe they are college material. Second, help them be successful while they are here so they stay in school. They feel like they belong here. And those are challenges, Laura. We do a lot of, we call it intrusive intervention.
I
Now
love that.
You folks you're both very young, and you may not remember the movie The Paper Chase from the 70s.
I know the paper chase. Stop
It
it.
was a law school, where they said, look to your left, look to your right, only one of them is going to be here in 4 years or whatever it was.
Yikes!
We don't treat our students like that. We don't have a sink or swim mentality.
Love it.
My philosophy and the philosophy of those of us who work here at Union College in New Jersey is to get in the pool with them, to help our students be successful before they sink. We have the opposite of a sink or swim philosophy. We want to help them be successful and not allow them to sink. So that's our intrusive intervention, where it's in some places, it's not cool to hold students' hands. I've heard people say, oh, but you're holding their hands. You bet we're holding their hands, and we're proud of it along the way.
Love that. Love that. Let me ask you a question along those lines, because, certainly we've seen before COVID, but through COVID too, the challenges of having the resources. The financial issues are always many of the top barriers. Even in students making a decision, ninth graders are told by their families, we don't have money to go to school. How do you get ahead of, what are you seeing in terms of how we support students with the resources they need, wraparound services? We have our PATH scholarship. It's going out to community colleges, so please apply for students, because sometimes it's a matter of, $200, $250, $500 to keep them on PATH. How are you thinking about the financial support and wraparound services for all your students?
Well, first of all, I want to say this. Everyone who's listening, I consider it an IQ test. Do your first 2 years at a community college. Unless you got an offer from Princeton, it doesn't matter. If you're going to a regional university, you're wasting your money for freshman and sophomore years. My English 101, my history 101 is the same or better than everyone in the country. So
That's a fact.
It is a fact. And they're wasting their money by going to a different type of school, unless if it's an Ivy League school where it'll just be transformational. First thing, save the money on the tuition coming in. Secondly, we have a robust foundation. I found that good people want to invest their philanthropic dollars in students who are hardworking and ambitious. And that's what our students are. So our foundation very often comes in with micro grants like $250, $500. And I send that to my nieces and nephews. I barely get a thank you note from them. Our students, you send them a $250 scholarship or grant, they send you a thank you note, and it's sincere. I've had kids cry over small amounts of scholarship that made a difference. First of all, it makes a financial difference to them, Laura.
Absolutely.
But more important, it sends a message to them that there is some stranger out there who's never met them, who believes in them and wants to invest in them and their future. That alone inspires some of our students to be more successful, to try harder, to stick it out when they face adversity. Now, on the college side of this equation, we do provide wraparound services. And what we did at Union was we evaluated every program, every position, and looked at how does this program, how do these people working in these jobs influence student success as measured by retention and graduation rates.
Excellent.
If we were running a program that had zero impact on student success, that we were spending money on, we got rid of it. And we had several hobby horses. Oh, this is the chair of the faculty's favorite program, or this is this board member's little pet project. I got rid of them. And we stopped spending money on programs and positions that had zero impact on student success and reallocated those dollars to programs that we could document. Students who engaged in this were more likely to graduate than the general population. So we've done our student success initiatives, and you know, Laura, I know you've seen our data,
I have.
quintupling our graduation rates, quintupling our Black male graduation rates. We did those programs, we had that success without increasing our budget in those areas by simply reallocating dollars from failed programs or hobby horse programs to
Good.
programs that directly impacted students.
Good for you. You are such a model for putting students at the center. And one of the things that people ask me, like in these economic times, how do you grow? How do you achieve success? What you're doing, ruthless prioritization on the things that matter most for better student outcomes and supporting students to achieve what they need to. And, you know, what a great model Union County College is. And you are, Dr. McMenamin, to share that data too. That's super powerful.
Well, I'll tell you what, some people say, how could you do it? How could you pull it off? But you know, I think you report to a board, Laura.
I do
Yes?
have a board.
You can't do it. You can't lead the way you need to lead without the board support.
The board support, and then you show them the data, right?
Absolutely.
Show them
And
the
that's how you get the support. You tell them the truth and then say, this is what we need to do in order to move the needle. And I couldn't have done I'm in my 13th year here at Union. And it was not a love fest initially. People do not like change, even change for the better. They're going to have a problem with it. I have 6 unions on my campus, 6 unions. So change was not an easy thing for all of us. People are afraid of change, but it was the support of the board. You need to have a vision, but a president with a vision without board support is not going to be able to make the changes necessary. So as you know, support of the board can make or break a CEO.
That's right. That's right. And you know, when it comes to change, we got to all be a little more comfortable with being uncomfortable, meaning change for the better. Then you define it. What are we changing? Why? How are we going to do it? And what does it mean to you? Because I think when people know, what does that mean for me? Because the fear is the unknown. And you've done a tremendous job, like driving that change fast with the outcome. Again, congrats. And I know I need to turn over to Joe because we'll just
You can keep going. I told you, don't worry about me.
No, let's find another great topic to learn from.
Well, I'll tell you what,
Margaret.
I do have I want to go backwards to come forwards, Margaret, and I want to talk about student success. Laura will give you a great question, and you gave a great answer, which is atypical from the answers that you hear. When you're talking about retention and keeping students, actually even getting them to apply, it's so much about self-confidence building. When people talk to me about retention, they go, well, we need to retain more students. Immediately my brain goes, how are we building self-confidence? How are we making the student believe in themselves more than they believe in themselves? How do we show we believe in them more? And every gesture, every interaction has the ability to evolve that self-confidence that the student has or dissect it, right? If they get bad customer service, even, it's, oh, they must not want to serve me because of these reasons, or that's a barrier. And so now I'm wondering if this is for me. If that every interaction isn't 100% on point for students, you give that reason, you give that student a consequence that it's unintended to leave or to doubt themselves. And I don't think a lot of people realize that. You talked about it. Can you talk more about that?
Sure. First thing you got to do is say hello to people, talk to people. My greatest fear is that a student will walk onto our campus, spend a day here, and nobody will say hello to them. So one thing we try to do is communicate, you belong here. Part of the way we do that is call people by name. I encourage the faculty, talk to your students, call them by name. First thing. But it's not all about retention. Retention to graduation. We did a great job with retention before I got here, but students came and then never left. They'd earn 100 credits. Our job, I come from a big family. There was 6 of us. My mother's job, she told us, I'm trying to launch each one of you. We at the community college should be launching our students, launching them into four-year colleges confidently, launching them into jobs and careers confidently. I don't want to have them come here and stay for 5 or 6 years. That's not the
Retain them
goal.
forever. They stay-
Absolutely. Oh, we're doing a great job with retention, but they're never graduating. They become dependent on us.
Mhm.
I'm not trying to create a cohort of students who's afraid to leave our campus because we've cared for them so much. No, we want to prepare them for the next step in their lives. But the first step, get them comfortable, make them feel like they matter, make them feel like they belong, treat them. I mean, we're a golden rule college. That's what I want us to be. We don't always fulfill that, but that's what we try to do. Treat them as we would want the shyest and most timid member of our family to be treated. Laura, you didn't know this, but I have a twin sister.
Oh my gosh, where is she?
We're complete
is she the
opposites.
loud one? She must be the
No.
loud one.
We're complete opposites. She's tall, beautiful, and nice.
Oh, stop it.
She would never,
Amazing.
she would never go up and talk to, she's too timid to do
Yeah.
that. So I always think of my sister Catherine and say, you know, if Catherine got ignored in, let's say, a student service center or a one-stop center where she
Yeah.
should be getting, she would probably think, oh, I knew I didn't belong here. I should leave or
Uh,
something like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
It's how you treat other human beings. And frankly, what we believe here at Union, these students we're serving, these first generation, low income, many of whom immigrant students, are going to be the leaders of our nation in the future.
Absolutely.
They're going to definitely
Grit.
be leaders
have
of the
grit.
county, the leaders in New Jersey,
Nailed it.
but the people who are going to change the world, they're the ones who are walking into community colleges like ours today. And if we don't take care of them, if we don't guide them, and as my mother would say, if we don't launch them, we're compromising the future of America. Now, I know I sound corny.
No,
but
you
this is
don't.
the truth.
It is. What did your mother do?
My mother was an English teacher and a writer, believe it or not. She was a newspaper writer. She was Barnard College, class of 38. She lived to be 101.
No, wow.
Remarkably, 6 kids later, we
What?
didn't kill her. She lasted a long, long time. But it's true. That's when I see these students, I think of her and think about how she worked to get us through, to get those kids through and to launch us.
I know, mine too. My mother worked her whole life in higher ed, got her PhD at 56, helped students with disabilities, ran a program, Virginia Commonwealth University, supporting students with handicap, disability, athletes, everyone. And it was all about getting them, making sure they were successful. She was the first wraparound services that were in the state, and raised 5 kids too. And so far we're all doing okay.
And it matters. It matters
does.
how you treat other human beings. And
It does.
I can't look at these kids and know who's going to be the one who's going to broker peace in the Middle East, or which one of these STEM majors is going to finally find a cure for diabetes or something like that, or who is going to write the next great novel. I don't know who they are, but I know they're out there somewhere.
Yeah.
And we should be helping every single one of them become the people they were meant to be.
It's time to jam.
Oh, yeah.
At Genzabar Jam, Genzabar's annual meeting, May 31st to June 3rd, Jam is the annual meeting for the Genzabar community. Engage with Genzabar product experts and executives, share ideas, insights, and information with your peers. It's time to jam.
Oh, yeah.
You can register now at jam.genzabar.com. Don't settle for average marketing strategies. Join us at the Element 451 Engage Summit, June 27 and 28, and discover how to harness the power of AI technology in higher ed marketing. Connect with industry leaders, explore cutting-edge technologies, and future-proof your marketing strategy. Use promo code EdUp50 for $50 off. Register now at engage.element451.com. Okay, I got one more question and I'm going to get back out of the way. This is for both of you. I keep doing this to you, Laura. You're supposed to be my co-host. And then I'm like, Laura, what do you think? I mean, you're running kind of this really small organization, of course. Leadership's important here. And Margaret, it's like when I told you at the beginning of the episode, I'm going to need you to turn up the passion. We need to see you more. No, I love it. I love the passion. The great thing about leadership, and you talked about it, Margaret, and you said it too, Laura, is I think you said, Laura, ruthless prioritization. And then Margaret, you're talking about being nice to people. But as a leader, there's a delicate balance that has to be played amongst all of those items, especially when you're a straight talker. Sometimes, delivering information empathetically is a skill, and sometimes you want to do that, and sometimes you just don't, and you just want to say, why can't we do this, or go do that? What's this balance, Margaret? Because I'm sure you came in and you just scared the pants off of people with the passion. I call it passion, a confident knowledge and passion. And Laura, you're doing this too every day because I watch you. But how do you advise people to balance those things of shared opinion and governance with actual decision making?
I just try to look for common ground, and I start common ground. What can we agree on? And it's got to be the mission. That's where I start, the mission. We all have, I have 6 unions on my campus. I come from a union family. My father organized unions, so I'm not anti-union, but I need to get everybody to start with, what do we agree on? And in an organization like ours and yours, Laura, we have to start at the mission. We all have to start here. What is our mission? And we all agree on this. Now, we may have different routes to different ideas on how to accomplish what we want to do. And your idea, it's not a bad idea, but for now, I'm the president. So that's my job, is to say, okay, we're going to go in this direction. But I always try to begin with common ground. We all want to. The reason why all of us have entered this career path into higher education is because we know the power of higher education and how it can transform lives. How do we know that? Because every one of the people I'm talking to on my campus has a college degree, and most of them weren't born with a silver spoon in their mouths. They have had opportunities and doors open to them as a result of getting that college degree. So I get everybody to agree, wow, getting a college education is a transformational opportunity for students. And we want to make sure that everybody gets that opportunity, not just the rich people, not just the people who are connected to someone, who know somebody, but that our poor students, our students who come from families where nobody's ever entered a college, our students who have just entered this country and are looking for what our ancestors looked for, the Italians and the Polish and the Irish who came in 100 years ago. They want the same thing that your ancestors wanted. Don't we want to be a part of that? Now, come on, that's like mom, apple pie, the flag, Chevrolet. It's hard to argue with that, Joe. It really is.
I'm not going to argue with you.
Good. So if I can get everybody, if we can get everybody there, we want to make this world a better place. And it's not just to make people feel good about themselves. To the Tea Party Republicans, although there aren't many of them anymore, but to the people who care about those things, I say, you don't want people on welfare. You want citizens who pay taxes and contribute to society, good citizens. This is how we do it. So I can get everybody on board there. And then the challenge is how we operationalize it. And then it's just about good listening and sometimes about compromise, but never compromising on our integrity and never compromising on our mission.
Laura, why don't you, what do you got to offer on that?
Not much more than Margaret, quite frankly. Well said. I agree. Like, you need a North Star, you need a vision, a mission, and strategy. When you build a team, I can't have a leadership team that isn't collaborative. but we also need to have the tough conversations because it is about ruthless prioritization. We set a strategy, we all sign up to the strategy. And when things change or you need to create change, you need to discuss it, you need to debate it, you need to define your priorities, execute on it. And even if some disagree, when you make a decision as a team, everyone flies in formation. There's no leaving a room and talking like maybe this is in the right direction. If we make a mistake, we learn from it, we pivot, we move on, and we get better. So for me, it's about teamwork and collaboration, prioritization, making sure not just my leaders, but their teams know what are they accountable for? What is their job? Because if they can see it connected to your mission, which is so powerful. I mean, the teammates I have at Ellucian, they're here for the mission. They love what they do every day. They're passionate about student success. And so when on the tough days, if you're really clear about where we're going, how you're going to get there, what it means for you, then you'll achieve success wherever you are, right? You know, just if I were to make all the decisions in the company, it would be a bad day, but I'll make the toughest, fewest decisions. Those go to us as leaders, but you empower your teams, you empower your students. And that's really how you achieve great success. But you got to have that North Star and mission and your strategy. Then it all lines up. And I know that's what you're doing at Union too. It really shines through.
Laura, you get the last bit of minutes here to ask anything you'd like to Margaret before you you said you had like 99 other priorities that you were just going to leave.
No, it's called get on a plane.
Oh gosh, I mean the important things.
I want to be here the whole time, but you get her to yourself a bit. I'm like, I guess what I'm curious about is we've all hit the tough times. How do you both personally and professionally get through some of the setbacks that you have, either, you know, that you've had personally or with the college or through your career? What advice do you give to leaders and even some of the, you know, the female leaders? I've been working to bring female leaders together. We just had a great opportunity with Deborah Quazzo at ASU GSB. We had 12 female presidents. What are some of what could you share around that?
Well, I know it's a big topic of conversation. I personally think there's a war on leadership right now, and certainly a war on women leaders. I think you have to have people you can talk to and people you can trust. I don't think that should be family members. I think there's only so much you can bring home. And if you bring your work home, I think it's crippling. So I believe in having an oasis at home where it's not about work, where I'm not going home saying, you wouldn't believe what happened today, but I need my colleagues or a kitchen cabinet, so to speak, people I can call to talk to. So I think I've been fortunate enough to forge friendships with a handful of presidents from across the country who I know I can lean on for support, but also to be a sounding board saying, I'm thinking about doing this, or I made this decision and announced it, and I'm concerned, or what do you think of this idea? You have to have, you can't sit on an island alone in leadership. And, you know, for years we've heard the expression, it's lonely at the top. It is lonely at the top. And it's lonelier if you're unwilling to make connection to other people. Now, Laura, I'm going to say something. I don't know if it's politically correct, but it's who I am. I pray a lot. I do. I rely on prayer. Why not? Why not? I tell my students,
it can hurt.
Yeah, I mean, why not? It can't hurt, but
it's about focus too, and it's about energy, and it's about belief. So, like, that's what it is. Like the positivity of prayer,
and it gives. I don't know. I recommend it to people, and it's consolation to me. But it's not about me isolating myself alone and praying alone. I mean, I do that, but I also know that God sends help in different ways. And sometimes the help is the president on the other side of the state, who I know I can call 24/7, and he's there to tell me the truth, whether it's agreeing with me or disagreeing with me, or calling my colleague president in Ohio or upstate New York or in California. There are a handful of people, you've got to make those connections. And that's why things like the President's Academy Summer Institute are helpful, because community college presidents get together and have an opportunity to let their hair down and talk in a small group. Or the HERDI, Higher Education Research Development Institute. Presidents together in a safe environment, making connections with other presidents from across the country, then you get the support you need. No matter how much my vice presidents like me and support me, and some days it's more and some days it's less, they don't know the scope, the breadth of the job we have. The only one who knows it and understands it is somebody who's served in the chair. So having that kind of support, that kind of honest feedback from somebody who's doing the job or has done the job has made all the difference in the world for me.
Well, listen, I mean, I think if every leader can build those communities of trust, when I look at higher education, the superpower that higher education has is this community building. And that, you don't always find business leaders calling up and saying, hey, like, how are things going with you? And I got a tough quarter coming up. Most people don't share that. And many of them are my counterparts that are men, maybe too proud, but I call up the women, quite frankly.
Yes.
But it is the whole community, men and women together, supporting and reaching out. It's the most powerful thing about higher education is people look for successful models to replicate it. There's nothing that's proprietary that way. It's like everyone wants to succeed for their students. And it's great to hear that you have such an important network and a trusting network. And I think that's how leaders are truly successful.
And I'll tell you what, the best presidents in the country are also the most generous with their help for other presidents. It's not a situation where they're stepping on each other to get ahead. The best presidents, and I could name a few of them, are generous and kind and helpful to the most novice presidents. And that's one of the measures I use of whether they're the real deal or not.
Yeah, and I was at the American Association of Community Colleges event. Were you there in outside Denver? Okay.
No, I was at HERDI, believe it or not. In Boulder.
Okay, but I love that they have, they support and they nurture new presidents, and it's just such a wonderful thing that association does, is just really nurturing them and building the communities. Because I would assume going in for the first time to be a college president is like, where do you go for help? And it's the community that supports these amazing leaders that we have across the country.
With that, I'm going to interject and tell Laura Ibsen how much I support you by not allowing you to miss your flight.
I have to go fly. I got to make it to San Francisco. And it's crowded these days. All the kids are going on holiday, so I got to get there early.
I just missed a flight recently, so I'm not going to make you do that.
Okay.
Laura Ibsen, CEO of Ellucian, my guest co-host today. Margaret, you're not off the hook. You got 2 more questions for me. But Laura, have a safe flight.
Thanks, Joe. Margaret, great to see you. I look forward to seeing you on campus soon.
Same here. Take care.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Margaret, we like to ask our guests the same 2 questions to end every single episode. I'm going to ask them to you now. Number 1, what did we not say about Union College? I call this, it's not really even a question. I got to change my whole shtick with this, but open mic for you. What do you want to say about Union College? Here's a microphone. You get to say whatever the heck you want for a couple of minutes, and then follow that up with answering what you see for the future of higher education.
Okay. I mentioned something about us improving our student success outcomes. For the last 13 years, we have focused like a laser beam on reorienting the entire college community on student success. We went from having the lowest graduation rates in the state to becoming an Aspen Prize semifinalist. And it's something that we are extraordinarily proud of. In 10 years, flipping that, it's like turning a cruise ship around in a harbor. And that happened for 2 reasons. 1, we have a great board, but 2, we have the faculty and staff who said yes when they were called to refocus on our mission. Our mission, and this is something I say every time I speak publicly, transforming our community 1 student at a time.
I love that.
And in that, it really brings us back to the humanity of the work that we do. And it was because of those dedicated faculty and staff that we were able to turn that cruise ship around and going from the lowest performing to the top 25 in the nation. I'm just the hood ornament. I do the interviews, I wave my hands around and I talk, but it's the rank and file people who work here, who are committed to our community and to our precious students that have made a difference here at the college. And I always want to give both the board, our community leaders, and our rank and file faculty and staff the credit. They're the ones doing the hard work.
Congratulations on an Aspen Prize semifinalist
Thank you.
designation. It is quite an accomplishment. And really, not a lot of people understand the amount of work that goes into it. It's not, you can't flip it in a year. You're talking about outcomes, years and years of hard work. So just giving extra call out to your staff and faculty for the commitment that it takes to get there.
Yeah, they were, I'll tell you, our progress has been so extraordinary that for the first 3 or 4 years of our initiatives, we'd get notes from the U.S. Department of Education saying, are these numbers a mistake, or, they're outside the scope of what we think is possible? Are you sure these are the correct numbers? So we're pretty proud of that.
I love that. So what do you see for the future of higher education?
Well, I think it's all about the exponential change precipitated by the pandemic, or the enzyme was the pandemic that accelerated the change. And I think we're looking at a future that will be dominated by artificial intelligence, technology, virtual reality. I formed a President's Commission, an internal commission of my youngest and brightest who will be here in 20 years on the future of higher education. And I've been through enough on AI over the last 2 months that I believe it's going to have a market change impact in higher ed. And people who want to sit back and wait and see what happens are going to be at the end of the food chain when it's all over. I just think we are facing a dramatic change. It will be unrecognizable in 10 years. Finally, the classroom is going to change. And yeah. I think technology and AI are going to be big contributors to that.
Wow. I love it. I love what you're doing. I love your passion. Union College in New Jersey, doing great work. The first community college in New Jersey. Certainly we'll be there for the next 150 years. And by the sound of it, for the longevity that your mom was there, you might be leading it in that period of time, Margaret. Who knows?
I always say, my mother lived to 101. I'm going to have to work until I'm 85 in order to afford retirement.
That's right. That's funny. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Your guest today, she is Dr. Margaret McMenamin. She's the president of Union College, and she's done. And I have to ask her, how did you like your EdUp experience today on the podcast?
I loved it. This was fantastic. Very casual and very exciting. Very exciting.
I love it. Ladies and gentlemen, you've just EdUp'd. Are you ready to jam?
Oh, yeah.
At Genzabar Jam 2023 in Orlando, Florida, May 31st through June 3rd for 4 days of breakout sessions, peer-led discussions, countless hours networking with your peers and the Genzabar team, social events, meals, everything. Come down, learn from each other, network. It's time to get together, and you can do that at Genzabar Jam. Register now at jam.genzabar.com.
Oh, yeah.
Experience Element 451's Engage Summit Conference this June and get ready to unleash the power of AI in higher ed marketing. Deep dive into how this emerging tech will revolutionize the education landscape, from personalized student engagement to turbocharging your marketing efforts with AI. These sessions are guaranteed to help you smash your enrollment goals. Connect with like-minded professionals, explore cutting-edge ed tech products and services, and leave with the knowledge to supercharge your institution's growth. Don't wait. Register now at engage.element451.com and seize your chance to lead the pack in the AI-driven education revolution. Use promo code EdUp50 for $50 off your registration.